I'm in the reloading room, and I just got through shooting a match. Well, not just got through. I shot a match yesterday. Just a local match, a 300-yard F-class FTR or F-class match, and it's just a local match. Also, in the last month, I shot the same match, and in both months I've done really well. I've been wanting to make a video about what F-class is, talk about the target a little bit, more than I have in the past, and show how the scores work and the course of fire and all of that. But unfortunately, I've been shooting too many good scores. But the last couple of months at this local match, I've shot some pretty good scores, so I can use those targets to demonstrate what F-class matches look like. So I don't have any loading to do, but I'm done shooting the match, and this is what my ammo box looks like. Got a couple, the leftover rounds that could be used for ciders, and then all of my rounds. I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but here's some of the two that I pulled out, put on the side. But that's how we shoot two. Sometimes it's unlimited ciders, but 2 ciders, 20 shots for records. 2 ciders, 20 more shots for records, 2 more ciders, and 20 shots for record. I think in the past when I've loaded my case, I explained how I organize my cartridges for a match. Also, after each match, I like to get my fire brass out and just take a look at the primers. I sometimes doing this during the match, but I just want to see if the brass still looks good, if the primers, if I saw any pressure signs, just to give it a once over before I put it in another bin and get ready to process it again. This brass is looking pretty good. I've shot this, I think, about this particular batch of brass. I think I've shot these about 20, I think right around 20 times or so, maybe 21 or 19 times. But the brass is looking pretty good. These are, always load a few extra rounds in case I need them. In this case, I loaded 66, 68, 69, 70, 71 rounds, just so I could have 5 extra rounds. Oftentimes after the match, I'll shoot these 5 extra rounds just so I can process all of this brass. But I've got another 20-some pieces of this 100 lot to load and shoot, so I'll use that for testing. I'll use these for ciders and warm-up shots. At any rate, that's the brass from the match. So I don't have any. I'm going to process this. I'll put it in a container. I'm going to get ready to start processing, and I'll load up some of those other rounds that I'm talking about. But I don't have anything to do tonight, so I thought I'd make this video talk a little bit more about what F-class is. Okay, I've got my shot marker here, and at the match, I downloaded to my iPad my targets, my 3 courses of fire, and or 3 strings of fire, and then imported them back into my own personal shot marker, so I can. I'll get my iPad out here in a minute and go over those targets. The other thing I'd like to mention is what kind of an overview of F-class. In F-open, I shoot FTR, but F-open is another classification, I guess, of F-class. And in F-open, they can shoot on the F-open rifles can be put on a rest, a front rest, and a rear bag can be used both for FTR and for F-open, big heavy sandbags. Mine's across the room, but you can rest the rifle on big heavy sandbags in both of the both F-open and FTR. There's only 2 classes in F-class, F-open and FTR. In F-open, you can shoot any caliber that is less than 35, or so all the way up to 338 Lapua if one wanted, but anything above 35 couldn't be shot like a 4. I think there's a 416 Barrett or some huge cartridge. 50 BMG can't be shot in F class up to 35 caliber, and there's no minimum. Or maybe there is a minimum, maybe 22, but I don't believe there is, but might be. Most F open shooters shoot 284s, and lately a lot of shooters have been shooting 7mm magnums. Some shoot 30 caliber magnums, but I don't really know. Most of the F open shooters that I shoot at these matches that I go to are shooting 284s. I think I've seen one 7 mag. One open shooter shooting a 7 mag. I shoot in FTR. In FTR, also the F class, F open can shoot rifles that weigh up to 22 pounds, and I believe that's 10 kilograms. So 10 kilos, 22 pounds. The rifles cannot weigh any more than 10 kilograms. So that is without the rest or the sandbag. So just the rifle itself can be set on a rest, and 22 pounds. So that's a pretty hefty rifle. Also, it's not including the rest, so the rest can be pretty much unlimited. There might be a weight restriction, but I don't think there is. All they can carry. Now in FTR, our rifles have to weigh, so the weight includes everything on that rifle when you pick it up. So that's the scope rings, obviously, any attachments to the rifle. Oftentimes there will be a shield, which doesn't weigh much. Shield for the over the barrel for the Mirage, scope. Sometimes wind gear. If you put a rain gear over the top of the rifle, that's included in the weight, so it must be included to weigh it in, otherwise you can't use it. For FTR, our rifles must weigh 18.18 pounds. So that's everything, including the scope, trigger, all of that, everything, and the bipod. So F open has an advantage of, number one, they have a higher weight restriction, 22 pounds to begin with, and they don't have to include the weight of their front rest, in which case with FTR, it is a bipod. So that's heavier rifles means less recoil, easier to control, easier to track back and forth. Having that rest the way they have is a big advantage. So those are some advantages of F class. The other advantage is, of course, caliber. F open can shoot any caliber, once again, up to 35. Whereas in FTR, we can only shoot 308 or 223. Now, most long-range shooters will shoot 308 because shooting a 223 out to 1,000 yards is a difficult. It's hard enough to shoot a 308 out to 1,000 yards, but a 223 is even that much more difficult in the wind. Mid-range, and so mid-range is anywhere from 300 to 600 yards. So 789 and 1,000 is, from 700 to 1,000 is long range. A lot of the mid-range shooters will shoot 223, 300 yards. The wind doesn't have that great of an impact, even on a 223 a little bit, but it's a lot easier to handle. 600 yards certainly is a little bit more difficult with a 223, but I have seen many competitors shoot 223 because of less recoil. It's easier to keep the gun on target. So we use, these are the bipods that we use. Some shooters will use basically the two-footed hair style bipod, but most match shooters at any higher level will shoot these ski bipods. This one happens to have articulating feet. I will talk about these in another video. I'm still waiting for my rifle to be built. I'm building a custom rifle. Once it is built and I got it, when I have it, I'll talk about the features of the rifle and also these bipods and the other equipment that we use. But so that's FTR and F open. And Now, FTR and F Open, we shoot on the same targets and we shoot the same course of fire, meaning we shoot the same number of shots. And I'll get my iPad out, and that's why I wanted to have the scores. I wanted to show the targets, and that will better describe FTR. And it will also let myself know in the future me, let me know how I was shooting in the past. So let me grab the iPad and get it hooked up to the shot marker, and then I'll continue on. Alrighty, so I switched over to the iPad, and on the iPad I've got a 300-yard F-class target on the screen. This is the 300-yard target is a scaled down version of the 600-yard target. So the 600-yard target is an MR1. That stands for mid-range 1. So that's 600-yard mid-range. And on the MR1, on the 600-yard target, that X-ring is 3 inches, which is roughly half an MOA, half a minute of angle. The 10 ring is 6 inches on a 600-yard target, which is roughly 1 MOA. That's how, and then the 9 ring would be 2 MOA, the 8 ring is 3 MOA, and so on. Also, I'll mention that if you don't score, if the shooter doesn't score a 5, the shot is outside of the 5 ring, the score is 0. It's a score of 0. So that's the only potential scores: 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and X. And X counts as 10. X is a Roman numeral for 10, so it counts as 10. This target, however, is an MR63 FC, which is a 600 MR1, which is a 600-yard target scaled down to 300 yards. And when it's scaled down to 300 yards, it's not exactly half. Even though 300 yards is half of 600 yards, that X-ring, I guess the dimensions are a little bit smaller because 300 yards is so close for a high-powered rifle. So that X-ring on a 300-yard target is 1.42 inches. The 10 ring is 2.85 inches. So 1 MOA at 100 yards would be roughly 3 inches, but this is 2.85 inches. So the 9 ring is double that, or roughly 2 MOA, 8 ring is 3 MOA, and so on. It's the same thing, the 5 ring. If you don't score, if the shot is outside of the 5 ring, you score 0. All right, so let me, so the course of fire, let me explain that, and then I'll, as I get one of my targets up from this last week, and I'll get my best target up. I'm not doing this, showing you these targets to brag. I do want to talk about the F-class, but let me just say that these are some of the best targets I've ever shot. The last few matches that I've shot in, the conditions have been somewhat calm, although there's been a little bit of wind, but it's been somewhat calm, and I've been able to shoot some really good scores. So this is, I'm shooting way above my head. So these are not to brag, but future me can look back and see where I was at this time, which is a little bit more than 2 years. I've been shooting F-class for a little bit more than 2 years. All right, so the course of fire is generally, we shoot 3 strings for record, 3 20-shot strings for record. So if you notice all of the scores there in the box over on the right, there are 20 scores. There, in this case, I did really well. They're all either 10s or X's, but there are 20. This is the first. This shot number 1 is the first shot for record. That's what when we say we're shooting for record, that means those scores are the ones that count. So we shoot 3 strings of 20 shots. So you'll see there are 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and so on till we get to 20. So 20 shots for record. And in this particular match, we had just 2 sighters to start, and then 22 minutes to shoot all 22 shots. Now I didn't have to shoot each shot 1 minute apart. I could have shot all 22 shots in the first 5 minutes. I could have shot 2 sighters, not shot for 19 minutes, and then shot 20 shots in the last minute, if that would be possible. So it's just 22 minutes to shoot 22 shots. Now, in most of the other matches that I shoot, the mid-range matches usually at 600 or 1,000 yards, we get unlimited sighters and 30 minutes to shoot our first string of 20 shots for record. So there's an extra 10 minutes added for time and unlimited sighters. So shooters can shoot as many sighters as they want, and then when they get ready, they're going to say, I'm going for record, and then their first shot after they say they're going for record would be 1 on, and then the second shot would be 2 on, and so on. But again, in this case, the sighters are limited to 2, so you must come out to the range with a 300-yard zero ready to go, because there are only 2 shots for two sighters given. This is my home. This is my home club, so I can go out there anytime I want and get my gun zeroed, and that's generally what I do the weekend before a match, or if I don't have time, or even during the week, I'll just go out and shoot a few shots till I can get my rifle sighted in. So looking at this, so when we say sighters, that just means what it sounds like. You're sighting in the rifle scope. You can make adjustments at that time, and those do not count. They do not count for score. They are recorded, but that's just for informational purposes. They don't count for score. So in this particular match, I had my rifle sighted in, but as you can see, it was a little bit low, and maybe sighter 1 was left. I don't dial, I shoot both sighters, and then I dial my scope accordingly. In this case, sighter 1 was right there a little bit, sighter 1 was right there a little bit left and low. I shot another shot, sighter 2 was low, but centered up pretty good. I felt like maybe my gun was going to heat up a little bit, my rifle would heat up a little bit, and so I went ahead and shot my first shot for record, and it was a low left 10. So luckily it was still in the 10 ring. And then I dialed up. I still didn't trust I still was thinking my rifle was centered up. So second shot was number 2. I went ahead and dialed it up a little bit, and then still was left. Third shot, I dialed a little bit closer to center, and I did notice on this relay, or this first one, the flags were kind of flat, but if there was any wind, it was blowing from left to right, so it would have moved the shots to the right. As you can see, so when we're shooting the match, you only see the last shot. You don't see all of the shots. So I need to pay close attention to what I'm doing. If all of my shots on this target, most of my shots were on the left. I could have moved that group over a little bit to the right. I had a higher X count, but possibly number 12 there would have been. I could have pushed that one into the 9 ring. But at any rate, that's how the matches work. Yeah, and then you just continue on, or I just continued on shooting 20 shots, 7, almost threw 7 out, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, until 20 shots. So all 20 shots are scored for record, and the highest possible score you can get is 200. X's count for 10, but they don't serve of any other purpose other than to break a tie. So if one of my competitors had shot perfect score, 213 X's, they would have beat me. If they would have shot 199 and 19 X's, it would not have beat me because I scored 200. So the higher score wins, and then the X's just simply break the tie. One thing I would mention about this, which is not peculiar, but it's a part of the rules. If you were to shoot, or if a shooter was to shoot 20 X's, they could continue shooting. So 20 X's would be a perfect score, perfect X count. They could continue shooting 21 X's, 22 X's until they stop shooting X's. Then their perfect score, their score would be 200, and then how many ever X's they shot. Let's say the shooter shot 25 X's. So you could have a score 200, because that's all that counts, or the 20 shots for record, but 25 X's to break any ties in case somebody in that same match, as highly unlikely as it is, could shoot 226 X's. So that's kind of a peculiar rule. All right, so let me just show, let me just put the next target on. There's no other reason than just to kind of show where my shooting is on June 17th, 2023. This was my second relay. Started with Sider 1, was a high 10. Sider 2 was a good vertical, but a little bit right. The wind had picked up a little bit and was blowing a little bit more to the right. And then later on in the match, it did get kind of switchy. But luckily, for most of the match, the wind was blowing left to right. I don't want to run through explaining all of these shots other than notice the vertical there. From the 5 being the lowest shot was still in the X ring, and the 11 being the highest shot still in the X ring. So my vertical for this match was less than half of an MOA, and that's really what I'm striving for. I want all of my shots inside of that X ring, and that way that's the largest, that way the wind can pick the windage, the left to right is the ring, the 10 ring is the biggest, and the object of the game is to get the highest score. So we always want to shoot 200s if we can. And the best chance of shooting 200s is to get the vertical tune on the gun to shoot no higher or no lower than that X ring, and that's where the biggest part, the fattest part of the 10 ring is when you're shooting when the wind blows it left or right. So this string went really well for me. Number 2. Luckily, I recognized it pretty quickly and then dialed. The number 2 was almost catastrophic, but so on 19, I was shooting really well. I had 12 X's, so 12 of the first 19 shots were in the X ring, or touching the X ring. So I was looking very good. And then I took a long pause. Number 19 looked, I think for 18 or so, I took a long pause before 18. Sometimes my rifle will heat up toward the end of the string. So I shot 17 was an X, 18 was an X, 19 was an X, and look, that was in a really small group there. 17, 18, and 19 were all in a very small location. And then I waited a little bit to let the gun cool down because I wanted to shoot another 200 right off on the heels of my first 200. Then I'd have 2 200s in a row. However, I don't know what happened. I took my time. I squeezed the trigger slowly, just like I did on 17, 18, and 19. The wind did not pick up that much, but 20 out to the right. So 19 shots in the 10 ring and number 20 in the 9 ring. That's kind of hard to take, but it happens. All right, and then I'll just run my last target up here for this weekend. The gun has started opening up. I will have to say the wind picked up considerably. I don't know what happened to 9, 10, and 11. Those are the only three 9s that I had. It's just odd to me that would occur. Number 9 was probably the wind picking up. I didn't adjust over too much for 10. I went back after the wind calmed down a little bit. I put the gun right in the middle on the X ring and bang, there was 10 low. I said must be the loads. And then bang, 11 was low. And I said, I'll try it one more time. I'd already kind of messed up this score. So I shot 10, 12. Luckily it hit the 10 ring, but it was also low. So then I dialed up and almost shot 13. There's 12 right there. I almost shot 13 out of the top. I said, wait a minute, something is wrong. And then I dialed back down. Then I got back on target. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Threw it kind of up high, 19 and 20. I do remember when I started loading, I load my ammo box backwards. But I do remember when I first started loading, the stem of my bullet seeder came loose about where 9, 10, and 11 were, 12. And then I noticed that I tightened it up. I went back and looked back at those others, seated them a little bit deeper, and measured them again and seated them deeper. So that could have been 9, 10, 11, 12 could have been my reloads or my loading practice. However, it could have also been the wind. I don't know. At any rate, so as it turns out, I shot a 200 12X, a 199 12X. So now I'm sitting at 24Xs, 499, 24Xs. And then the last was 10Xs. So I've got 34X, and I dropped 4, so I'm 596 in the aggregate. It's a 596 34X. That's my match score for all 60 rounds. 596 34X. So it was a really good match for me. One of my better matches. So I was pretty happy with the results of the weekend, even though 9, 10, and 11 here were, don't know what happened. It'd been nice to get those in, but at any rate didn't. That's pretty much how F-Class works. It's the same scoring system. It's the same target, really. It's just bigger for the different yardages. So the 600-yard target, the X ring is just half MOA or 3 inches. 10 ring is 6 inches. 1,000 yards, the X ring is 5 inches, and the 10 ring is 10 inches. And the 10 ring is still 1 MOA, 1 minute of angle. So it's 1,000 yards away. So it's really shooting, just get used to shooting at the same target. So practicing at 300 yards is a pretty good way to practice for mid-range at 600 yards or long range at 1,000 yards. The biggest difference is the wind. Well, I'll wrap up this video here. I hope everybody enjoyed it, and I also hope to see you next time.